Hi, let's talk about the order of operations. Woo! So in math, pretty much anytime anybody is doing a math problem, we all have to follow the same rules. If we don't follow the same rules, we'll get different answers. So all across the world, no matter who you are, every person that does math needs to follow the same order of operations. Okay. And you might have heard something called, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I personally do not like this because many people think, all right, so P stands for parentheses, right, or brackets, some kind of grouping symbol. E stands for exponents, that little 2 or 3 or something. My dear, M stands for multiply, dear stands for divide. Here's the deal, guys. It's multiply or divide, whichever comes first from left to right. So if division happens to be first, like 10 divided by 2 times 5, then I divide first and then multiply. If multiplication is first, like 10 times 2 divided by 5, then I multiply first, okay? So my dear goes together. Multiplying and dividing are kind of just inverse operations of each other. And then we go to the Aunt Sally. Same thing here. I don't like this little saying because people think we always add and then we subtract. No, we add or subtract whichever comes first from left to right, just the way we read a book. Again, so if I had something like 6 minus 2 plus 7, I don't add 7 first. I do 6 minus 2, and then whatever that answer is, I add 7. Or if it happened to be 6 plus 2 minus 7, now I add 6 plus 2 first, and then I subtract 7. Okay, so please, 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 please be careful on those last two things, okay? So, my dear, multiplying and dividing are really like the same thing. They're just inverses. I do whatever comes first. Aunt Sally, sorry about that, Belle. Same thing. I do whatever comes first from left to right. Okay? Okay, let's move on to talk about these things a little bit more specifically. So the please part, remember, is parentheses. Parentheses can look like just your normal curved parentheses. They can be brackets. But here's another grouping symbol that people don't think about. The big fraction bar. If I had something like 8 plus negative 3 over 2 plus 5, okay? I don't have the curved parentheses or the brackets, but this big fraction symbol is another form of a grouping symbol. What that really implies is that you have to do the top, and then you have to do the bottom, and then you divide. So 8 plus negative 3 is 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. And you know what? To be honest, 5 divided by 7, it's a fraction that doesn't go in equally. I would just leave it as 5/7. If you wanted to divide and get a decimal, go for it. Okay, so please be careful. I've got parentheses. I've got the brackets. We also, though, have that big fraction bar. And I do want to talk about one more thing before I go on to the excuse. Sometimes people see parentheses, and it's not necessarily a parentheses in this case. So for example, if I had 9 divided by 3 times 2. Some people see that parentheses and think, oh, I got to do that first. But look, there is nothing inside of that parentheses to do. So when we see the please part, it means I'm simplifying whatever is inside of parentheses. So in that parentheses down here, the purple, the only thing inside of there is a 2. So there's not really anything for me to simplify inside. That is just another way to write multiplication. So be careful. So, and then in this case, remember, between multiply and divide, I go left to right. So this problem will be 9 divided by 3, which is 3, and then 3 times 2 is 6. So this final answer would be 6, not 9 divided by 6, all right? So be careful. If there's nothing inside of parentheses but one number, it doesn't mean that you need to simplify everything. Okay, let me erase some of this stuff so we can talk about the excuse. Okay, so the excuse is your exponents. An exponent is when you have a big base like 5, and that little number up there, that is your exponent. That means I'm taking the base, which is 5, times itself, so times 5 again, 2 times. So whatever your exponent is, that's how many times I'm going to write that 5 and multiply. It does not mean 5 times 2. 5 times 5 is 25 and not 10, okay? I could have something like 3 times 2 to the third power. Order of operations says I have to do the exponents first, and that would be 2 times 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 times 2 is actually 8, and then I'm going to do 8 times 3, which is 24. All right, the my dear we already talked about a little bit, but remember, between multiply and divide, we do whatever comes first from left to right. Because think about it, 5 times 2 is equal to 10, 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5, 10 divided by 5 is equal to 2. Remember learning those fact families in elementary school? Multiplication division is like one big family, so we have to go in order from left to right. The big thing is this. If I had, let's say, 8 times 5 divided by 2. The big thing here is that I'm dividing by 2. Technically, if I did 8 divided by 2 first, that would be okay. And then times 5, as long as it's the 2 that I'm dividing by. Okay? Same if I give you another example. If we had 8 divided by 2 times 4, same thing. As long as I'm dividing by 2, it's kind of okay which order I do it. I just can't be adding or dividing by 8. Some people want to do 2 times 4 first and get 8, and if I do that, I'm dividing by a bigger number. So that is not okay. It is not okay, whoops, I'm trying to erase here, to do 2 times 4 first. So no matter what here, as long as I divide by 2, I'm good. So if I wanted to multiply 8 times 4 and get 32, and then divide by 2 and get 16, that's okay. Or 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then times 4 is 16. So no matter what, as long as it's only the 2 that I'm dividing by, I'm good. Same with the other one. As long as it's only the 2 that I'm divided by, then I'm good. All right, same thing with Aunt Sally. Let's see if I can erase this now. So with Aunt Sally, addition and subtraction are like fact families. Think about elementary school. Still trying to erase this. So in elementary school, when you had something like 4 plus 3 equals 7, that's the same as 7. Well, not the same, but 7 minus 3 equals 4, and 7 minus 4 equals 3. They're fact families. So adding and subtracting go together. So I'm going to add or subtract whichever comes first, left to right. Just like I told you about the division, the big thing here is making sure you're only subtracting the number that it says. So if I had 5 minus 2 plus 6, if I had added 6 and 2 together first, then I would be subtracting 8 and not only subtracting 2. So the big thing is that I'm only subtracting what's after the subtraction symbol itself. The only time I would add is if somebody put a parentheses there, because that changes everything, okay? So I'm only subtracting the number by itself. So this problem would be 5 minus 2 is 3, and 3 plus 6 is 9. If I had 5 plus 2 minus 6, that's a different story. Now it's the minus 6 that I'm subtracting, and I can do 5 plus 2 is 7, 7 minus 6 is 1. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a whole bunch of examples really quickly. What I would like you to do is pause it before each one, try it yourself, and then see if you got it right. So I'm going to go quickly. Remember, you can rewind it and you can pause this as many times as you want, or you can ask your teacher if you don't understand what I said. So again, I'm going to go really quickly, but you can pause it and try it for yourself first. All right, doing this problem, some people talked about or learned circling the terms. See this plus and minus signs? Since I do those last, sometimes it's a good idea to circle everything except for the plus and minus signs. And then 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 minus 3 to the second power. Remember, that means 3 times 3, not 3 plus 3, not 3 times 2. So that's going to be 9. And now I'm going to go left to right. 20 plus 3 is 23, and 23 minus 9 is 14, and that should be your final answer. Okay, same thing. I like to circle my terms. I don't see any parentheses, so I'm going to go through and circle the 6 squared, 4 times 3, and the 8. Notice the plus and the minus sign is what separates terms, so I don't add those. Or sorry, I don't circle those. Okay, 6 times 2, or sorry, 6 to the second power means 6 times 6, so that's 36, minus 4 times 3 is 12, and then plus 8. Now I'm going to go left to right. 36 minus 12 is 24, and 24 plus 8 is 32. And that would be that final answer. All right, I have a parentheses here, so when I circle my terms, I'm going to circle the negative 6, and then I don't stop at this minus because it's in the parentheses there. So all of this would be one term, and then 4 squared is one term. So when I go through here, so the negative 6, there's nothing really for me to do there. However, in here, I need to do 5 minus 8. And 5 minus 8 is negative 3. And then I still have 2 times negative 3, which is negative 6, plus 4 squared, remember, means 4 times 4, which is 16. Negative 6 plus negative 6 is negative 12, plus 16 is a positive 4. Okay, remember, you should be stopping this and trying them yourself, and then you can check your answers by watching it. All right, so all of this is one term because of this. Remember, this is like a grouping symbol. And then minus a negative 2 plus 10. So I need some work in the first part. The top, negative 1 plus 7 is 6. So that would be 6 over 3 minus negative 2 plus 10. So I still need to do these. Here's my terms. 6 divided by 3 is 2. I'm going to go here and do a minus or a plus, a positive. Remember, keep, change. So that's going to be 2 plus 2 plus 10, which is 14. All right, I've got 2 more. Again, try it yourself, and then go ahead and listen so you can get your answer. All right, all of this is one term. I'm going to stop at my minus sign there. And then within this within this term, my multiplying and dividing, I'm going to divide first because that's what came first from left to right. So that becomes 16 divided by 2 is 8, and then 8 times 4 is 32. There was that parentheses there, remember that? However, there is nothing inside the parentheses to do, it's just a 4. So all that meant really was multiplication. All right, so I've got 32 minus 5 squared means 5 times 5, which is 25, and 32 minus 25 is 7. Okay, last question here. I am going to, again, circle my terms. I just think that's a good way to organize it. Notice I am not circling my plus or minus signs. However, at the end, that plus is part of a whole group. Okay, 3 to the second power means 3 times 3. So that's really going to be 5 times 9 there, minus 7 times 2 is 14, plus 9 plus 3 is 12 over 6. I kind of did this in different steps here, and that's okay. So if I go back and circle terms again, 5 times 9 is 45, minus 14, plus 12 divided by 6 is 2. 45 minus 14 is 31, and 31 plus 2 is 33. All right, so hopefully I gave you a whole bunch of different examples. You can always rewind this and look at them again if you'd like. You should make sure that you're practicing before you have to take a quiz on order of operations.